For me, Seiko have always been the kings of the mid-tier dive watch. I love the Seiko Turtle, I love the Mini Turtle, I love the Monster. I can go through the range, and to be honest, they're all awesome watches. But there's always a niggling voice in the back of my head, which is, what about Citizen? What am I missing out on with Citizen? Well, I've taken a trip over to the other side. I've had in my possession a Citizen Promaster Fugu diver for around about 2 or 3 months now. It's taken a little while with this one, but I think I've reached a conclusion on whether this is a worthy adversary, or even better than the equivalent Seikos in the price range. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy the video, please consider subscribing. It's really much appreciated. Anyway, let's get straight on and have a look at this Citizen. So this is my Citizen Promaster, and shall we get straight into some of the specifications on this one? So Citizen claims it's a 44mm case. I measure it at 43mm, sapphire crystal, thickness is 13mm, 200 meters water resistant, that's obviously ISO rated. It's light at 107 grams on this rubber, 49mm lug to lug, which is pretty good actually considering the size of the watch. And on the time grapher, I was getting around about +6 seconds per day. These are unregulated Miyota 8204s. I think they've just upgraded to the 8205. I'm not sure on the differences, but I know the newer models have a different model number on the Miyota, but you've still got hacking and hand winding and day date functionality even on the 8204, and a 40-hour power reserve. The dial on this one is highly legible. It's a Citizen tool watch. What were you expecting? Of course, there's indices which are full of luminescent paint, which we can look at later. And same with the hands, large, easy to read, especially the hour and the minute hand, and full of lume. The finishing on everything is pleasant enough, absolutely nothing spectacular. There's a polished finishing on the hands and the indices. The indices to me look like they're stamped rather than applied. And one nice touch that you'll spot here is the seconds hand has a nice red tip, which I quite like. Not quite the same shade of red as the aluminium bezel, but close enough. It's a nice touch. Citizen logo is printed on the dial here, and bonus points, that day and date disc, both of them are color matched, which I love to see. The bezel has a brushed finish, same as the top surfaces on the lugs. Those are radially brushed. Then the sides of the case are full polish. One of the reasons that I bought this watch is because I wanted something left-hand drive. I am actually left-handed, so you'll see the crown on this one is around about the 8 o'clock position. In Japan, the pufferfish, or fugu, as they refer to it as, is supposed to bring good luck, and here you'll see it on the back of the watch. Engraved into the case back. It's a nice engraving, usual specs around the outside. I'm guessing this watch got the name based on the bezel, which as you'll see has that sort of spiky grip around it, almost like the pufferfish. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you can confirm that one. For the crystal, there's not too much to say. It's a flat piece of sapphire. There's some AR coating on it. It's sufficient. It's not breathtaking. It does the job quite well. And the bezel is slightly proud of the crystal, so if you're going to scrape it along something, you're more likely to get the bezel than the crystal. As for the rubber, it's reasonably comfortable. It feels very durable, but definitely not the softest that I've felt. But no issues over a day of wearing overall. Again, you're noticing a theme. It's pretty good, but nothing spectacular. I spoke to you in the introduction just about my preferences for Seiko in this price point, and the criticism on the Citizen is that for sure the finishing is not as good as the Seiko. The bezel is quite streaky with the brushing. Hopefully this comes across on camera. The lume isn't as good as the Seiko. It is really good, but it's not quite as good as Seiko's Lumi Bright. And although you can't see it on the camera, the hands fade ever so slightly quicker than the indices. The indices on the dial, they're not so pronounced as the Seiko. They don't sparkle as much and they seem a bit more flat. Yes, perhaps more tool-like, but also not as interesting. I don't like the way that the seconds hand doesn't reach the edge of the dial. It looks like it was taken from a watch with a smaller dial and just put on this one. I think it should at least reach to the edge of the indices. People complain about Seiko pricing and the lack of value for money, but we're talking about a Miyota 8 series here that's retailing at $595 US. It's not all doom and gloom though. I love the crown on this watch. Not only the positioning, but it's got fantastic knurling, it's really easy to grip, and it's engraved with the Citizen Promaster logo. The aluminium insert is lovely to look at. It plays with the light very nicely. You'll get different shades of red at different angles, and it has a real vintage warmth to it. I'm very happy Citizen didn't go ceramic with these, because I don't think it would have worked as well. Everything on this watch feels tight, it feels very well screwed together. The bezel has zero play whatsoever. Oh, I suppose you want to hear that. And just in general, I've had a few Citizens in the past, and this is I think a pro point for all Citizens. The QC is excellent. I'm yet to pull one out the box and find any issues. If this watch had a report card, it would be a B in every category. There's no A's or A stars here, but there's no D's, there's no E's. So where does that leave us?
Yes or no, this is your last chance, no beating around the bush.
Well, it's not a particularly remarkable watch. It doesn't have the quality of finish, I don't believe, of the Seiko, but then it's far more reliable in terms of QC. If I took 100 Seiko Turtles off a shelf today and 100 Citizen Promasters, I bet 100 of the Citizen Promasters would have correctly aligned bezels, and I wouldn't be able to pick the difference apart. And I can guarantee that some of those Seikos, I don't know what percentage, but some of them are going to have misaligned bezels, some of them are going to have FOD on the dial, and the QC isn't going to be as it should be. So, as a tool, and as a tool watch, just being good at everything kind of makes it great. It makes it a great all-rounder. And that's what I think Citizen have created here. For me, it doesn't catch me visually in the same way that the Seiko does, but I respect it more as a tool, and I think if I was actually going to go diving, I'd probably take the Citizen because I just trust the QC that little bit more. I still think Seiko have a fantastic collection of watches, and I still prefer the look of the turtle on my own personal wrist. But like I said, a lot of respect to Citizen for what they've done with this watch, and as long as you're not paying MSRP or anywhere close, I think it's a really good watch, and I'd strongly recommend it, especially as a daily wear. If you were just going to have one watch, I think you could use this and abuse this for years and years and years, and you'd never have any issues, and you don't need to worry straight out the box either. Citizen do have some newer releases now, and I'd like to get my hands on them at some point because the price is significantly lower than this particular Promaster, and you're still getting an ISO rated dive watch. So I'm keen to check those out, but let me know what you think about Citizen, what you think about the Promaster range, and if you've had experience with Citizen and Seiko, how do you personally weigh them up in your collection in terms of what's better or worse, or just the pros and cons? I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure. If you like the video, please don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, and any subscriptions are always much appreciated. Thank you so much for your time. I'll see you on the next one.